We welcome to the program Jason Buttrill, who has been doing our look into the left, the hard left, and the things that they have planned for us today. Welcome to the program, Jason. How are you?
Thanks, Glenn. Doing well.
Yeah. So I read your briefing this morning, and it was very, very thorough. I had it already, but my computers have gone down. So give me, in a nutshell, which cities are really targeted today?
Most of the cities that are most heavily targeted are on the coast. Los Angeles, California areas, they're heavily targeted. East Coast, heavily targeted. All around Washington, D.C. I just saw your hit with Elijah. I'm envious, actually, because he's about to witness something tonight, I think, which is going to be historic from all of these different groups. And we can do a rundown of those. But I want to, one of the groups, Protect the Results. And I really encourage everyone listening right now to go to protecttheresults.com because they have an interactive map that you can look up at all of their protests that they have scheduled all over the country. By my count now, it's over 200 protests. But you can go, you can see if your city, the city of Dallas that we're in, it is one of those that is targeted, and we might see some activity. You've pointed out that one of the linchpins for these protests to kick off is, and this is why we were trying to tell the Trump administration to look at this, is if they say certain things. One of the things is if Trump declares victory on election night, which he's probably going to do. I think he said as much that he's going to do. But if he looks like he's going to win, if he declares victory, then that's the key for them to kick off these protests. But you can go to protecttheresults.com and you can look up all those different locations.
Well, they're everywhere. And this is so people know who these groups are. Who's funding Protect the Results? Where, who are they? What do they believe in?
It's exactly the people funding this is exactly who you would expect. Protect the Results has a partner list that is absolutely insane. It's well over 80 different partners, and you can go on their website and look at them. They're not even trying to hide it. It's basically every leftist group in the country and union, to include SEIU and a ton of others. Democratic Socialists of America is also one of their big partners. So that kind of tells you they're all in cahoots. Establishment Democrats, socialists, they're all in this together. It's ran by two activist groups. One's called Stand Up America, and another one's called Indivisible. And we've talked about, and you've talked about Indivisible a lot. They have ties to, who else would you expect, but George Soros and Democracy Alliance.
Right.
You also pointed out in the Biden's first 100 days in Harry Reid's War Room, they were brought in as an outside group to be a part of Harry Reid's War Room. So they're planning these protests, but they're also part of what's going to happen afterwards. Things like getting rid of the filibuster, things like ending the Electoral College, packing the courts. All of these people are all at the table. They've been doing it since 2016 after the last election, all the way up culminating till tonight. Indivisibles also teamed up with Obama's group, Organizing for Action.
Which used to be Organizing for America, and I warned in 2000, I think 8 or 9, the president is going to keep all of that information, and he is going to turn it around and eat the Democrats with it, and that's exactly what they're doing.
They were supposed to go away, but when Trump was elected, they changed their name and went right on trucking. It's absolutely nuts. Another large group organizing the protest is called The Front Line. Now, this is interesting. The other group I just told you about, Protect the Results, they're planning protests for Election Day. Now, Frontline, their goal is November 4th. So tomorrow going forward, they've already mobilized a virtual town hall that they're inviting all these other groups. They have another impressive partner list. They're getting together to say, okay, what do we do after the election? So if Trump wins, what do they do to continue the resistance?
And what time, and that all starts tomorrow. They're coordinating for tomorrow.
Yes. So tomorrow night, and again, you can go to thefrontline.org. Do your own homework, like we always say. Watch what they have planned. This is not conspiracy. This is stuff in their own words that they're planning on doing. So watch the town hall by all means. The groups that are a part of that, Working Families Party. Mm-hmm. They're, if you're familiar with Justice Democrats, the Squad, they work very heavily with Justice Democrats. Another group, United We Dream, is part of that. They're George Soros. Another group, Movement for Black Lives Electoral Justice Project. They are the Tides Foundation. It's all of the same players. They're all coming together. They've been doing this forever. It's just nuts.
This is very, very well coordinated, which, of course, is one of the steps in the color revolution. You have to have these things, and you have to have cries of voter fraud, and that the person that is currently in power is an authoritarian. They have seeded the ground, and we will see if what they sowed is actually able to be the sprout any fruit or any plants or any flowers, as they would say, in America. I want to play something. This is a Zoom call that happened over the weekend with one of these groups, in fact, all of these groups, on a conference call, on a Zoom call. I just want you to listen to the kinds of things that they're saying, and they all sound like normal, rational. They sound like your neighbor. Listen.
So we began to put together a list of things we want to know about in the city. So where are all the police stations? Because it's good to know where the police are. Where are all the key government buildings? Where are all the media outlets? Who are the Trump boosters? So we're talking about what would it take to surround the White House and have people do stuff. We can divide it up easily with affinity groups. We have to be willing to put our bodies on the line and take on some discomfort, sacrifice, risk in order to change things. And I've been in conversations where people have never thought about having a gun or like, should I have a gun? But I think we have to know, and I'm going to talk a little bit in a few minutes about what do we do when guns are in the mix. So again, chaos is a soup by which change emerges. Let's get cooking. Again, we didn't cause the war. We didn't ask for this war. Many of us are here because we want to fight it. We want something different. What are we willing to do? Right? Because again, we're not dealing with people with just simple guns. We're dealing with people with AK-47s, multiple rounds, a lot of shootings. So we are going to be in a crisis, but we want it to be one that we are creating. We want to make sure that we are on the offense and not the defense. We want them to be responding to us and us not responding to them. In a situation of a coup or an insurrection or an uprising, whoever's got the guns often can win. We should be clear, like, it's got to go. Trump's got to go. In order to achieve what they did, they knew they had to take over important government buildings. They knew they had to try and win over members of the police and army, and they had to protect each other. I think we don't have a lot of experience taking over government buildings, and we might need to think about that. And I know, as I said earlier, how, we may find ourselves in the streets with people with different tactics than ours, but like, there may be some people that are willing to break the windows to get into the government buildings. Like, if that's what we need to do, then we shouldn't fight about that. Let's do that.
If you're watching this, you saw the Arabic writing on the screen as they showed it in. This is because these people have been trained in Syria, and they're not afraid to say it out loud. I mean, at what point do you become an enemy combatant? At what point is this insurrection? We will see. And one side is deeply in bed with them. The other side is not. America, today is your day of choosing. Do I want a government that is in bed with these kinds of people or not?